You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome to episode number 10 of the Battle Heat Fans Podcast. I'm your host, David Garrett, and alongside me, as always, Mr. Daniel Solana. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great, doing great. The Heat are in first place in the NBA Cup standings.
Oh,
I
okay,
thought
okay,
they were
okay.
going to score 200 points last night, and
They were on
they're
pace. They
up.
were on pace.
They were. But 5-4, happy that they're on the winning side of 500, and finally, it looks like they're coming together. And tough game yesterday, tough game in the second half. But hey, we're doing well.
Second half, second quarter. They scored 53, the most points they've ever scored in a quarter in team history, which is wild. It felt like they weren't gonna miss. There was a point when Fontecchio got his first 3-pointer, but he got it in the corner. It looked like he was falling out of bounds. He had the defender's fingers were basically in his nose. It looked like he had no business taking that shot. It went in. I was like, oh man, they're gonna go for 60 this quarter. It was crazy. It was fun to watch. The crowd was into it. My son was into it. It was just a fun watch. And then things kind of fell apart in the second quarter. But obviously, one of the bigger stories is the fact that Bam was out. So Bam's out, Hero's out. Where he gets to start, where I wanted him to step up a little more than he did. I don't know what to say about Where. I think he's taking a lot of threes, and he just doesn't. He's just not doing it for me yet.
No, I agree, Danny. I agree. I thought with Bam out yesterday, this was the game that Khalil Ware was going to have where it was going to be a breakout game, right? I thought he was going to have maybe 20 points, 10 rebounds. He was going up against a rookie in I forget his name, but Charlotte Center is a rookie. And Charlotte was missing LaMelo Ball and Colin Sexton, their two best players. So I thought this was finally going to be the game where Khalil Ware was going to blow up and have a huge game. And it just wasn't. He just doesn't look like he's fitting into this system yet. And he looks a little uncomfortable at times in Spo's system.
You know what's funny is that even defensively, because I thought because he's so big, he would be like a crazy, and he does get his hand on some balls, but I feel like he goes up and you see him swinging for balls, but he just never gets to block, and it's like, man, why can't he just get it? It's almost like that the striker in soccer that he gets the shot off, but he's just always off the mark. Like Khalil, he's going for them, but it's always he just never makes contact, even though he got 3 yesterday.
Yeah, he did. I was gonna say he got 3 yesterday. But the one thing that I have in terms of saying, hey, he could do something better, he could improve, is when he does go ahead and block the shot, you saw his shots end up out of bounds. His block shots end up out of
Yeah.
bounds. So what he needs to work on is learning how to block the shot so that the Heat can recover the ball as a turnover and head out on the fast break like they're used to doing. So I think that's what he needs to improve on in terms of his blocking game.
Khalil took 5 threes. He was 1 for 5. So yeah, I don't want to harp on Khalil Ware. There was more good to talk about this game. That first quarter, like I said, was amazing. Norman Powell is the steady hand. He kind of gets. Did he get? He got the first basket of the game again, right? Like he gets this team going. Norman Powell. If I knew that he would be here longer than this year, he might be that next jersey I consider getting, him or Jaime. Both of those are up in the air. I can't invest money on those because I don't know how long they're going to be here. But I really enjoy watching Norman Powell play. I feel like he's that steady hand that you can count on, like a guaranteed 20, 22 points per game. And you know that if the ball's in his hand, good things are going to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. People were a little bit scared when in the second quarter he hobbled off the court and went straight into the locker room. But then in the second half he came back and he didn't have a great second half. He had a great first half, but he was very, very critical in the fourth quarter when the Heat were, the Charlotte Hornets were within 4 points, 6 points, 7 points, and the ball would get, like you said, the ball would get into his hands and something good would happen, whether it was an assist, whether it was a 2-point shot, whether it was a good 3-point shot taken, even though it didn't go in. He's always trying to make the right play. And that's exactly what you want in one of your key players.
The Heat scored 53 points in that first quarter, 73 the rest of the game. I knew that they couldn't keep up that pace, right? I knew that they wouldn't end up with 200 points, obviously. But man, I really thought that they would get to 80, 90 by the halftime. And by halftime, the Hornets almost tied the game. Like it was crazy. I that second quarter they went completely cold. I don't know if they left their foot off the gas or what, but they went completely cold that second quarter.
They did, but they still ended up with 72 points in the first half, Danny, which is right on pace with what they've been doing all year, right? They've been averaging close to 70 points in a half in the first half all year. And so that was right on pace with what was going on. I think obviously what happened in the first quarter was an aberration. They hit 10 3-pointers in the first
Oh
quarter.
yeah.
That doesn't happen very often. And it looks like all the shots that they were looking to go in went in the first quarter and then wouldn't drop in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the second quarter too, because I felt like they went to 53. They got to like 64 or something, and they just stayed there for the next like. It was a good solid 5-6 minute mark where the Hornets made that run. Now I was at the game, so I unfortunately didn't get to see all the stats and hear the announcers talk about it. But I'm assuming it was a 5-6 stretch where like they just didn't score any points. And by the way, man, going to Heat games is just so fun. Like the kids love it. It's such a cool environment. Like it's just always a good time. And then we had a group of uh, I don't know where country they were from. They were speaking another language, but man, they got so hyped when the Heat have 66 points and they have the ball and they're yelling foul. Somebody foul them, and then I realized what they wanted. They wanted them to get fouled so that they wouldn't get to 68 because they wanted free throws so that they can get to 67. And they got fouled. And I forgot who took the free throws. But man, when they hit that free throw and they got to 67, the way they started yelling 6-7 and they were getting all extra hype, it was they made last night's game really entertaining because they were having the time of their lives. And look, you could think that 6-7 thing is corny or whatever, but you know, I'm all for people having fun, and they were having a really cool time. I didn't ask them where they were from, but they were having an awesome time, and they really helped that environment in that section.
Look, man, I completely thought you were going somewhere different with that, but the fact that you
No,
got a 6-7 in a battered Heat podcast, 6-7, and the fact that you got one of those in there, it just
dude.
makes this the best battered Heat fans episode that we've ever done.
Well, it was really funny. And then he looks back at his boys, the guy sitting next to me. He's like, "You guys ready? You guys ready?" I was like, so they must have pre-planned this, so it was a fun time. So Davion Mitchell, he had 5 assists surprisingly because it's he's been that guy that gets you the consistent 8-9 assists to one turnover. Today he had 4 assists. No, 5 assists, 1 turnover. But I thought just about everybody had a good game. I want to talk about Pell Larson. Pell Larson is looking so good. Like he's becoming so consistent, right? He's not having those same fouling troubles he had last year. Like he's Pell Larson. When you look at this team, because right now we're down our 2 best players, right? Technically, right? You could argue Norman Powell somewhere in there, but our 2 best players. And I look at this roster and I still think it's deep, even though we're missing our 2 best players. Like this team is really good because the starting 5 that I have on the screen right now, you add Tyler Hero, you had Bam, and then on the bench you have Jovic, you have Jaime Jaquez, you have Fontecchio for the threes, and you have Drew Smith, which is a steady hand off the bench. That's what did I just mention? 10 players, 11. Like we are deep, and when you have this high paced offense, yeah, we were on the Miami Heat Zone show, and he was saying, can this keep going consistently? You might get some injuries because of the way that they're playing, but somebody gets injured, you have a deep roster to go ahead and plug somebody back in. And I think that this team is just looking really well rounded. It was a well built team outside of the fact that they don't have any big bodies. So I guess that's a definite. But skill wise, they have 10 skilled players.
Absolutely. I mean, look, Pelle Larson last night, 19 points, a career high for him. And he's done that already 3 times this season. His career high was 17. Before that, he did that twice, first against the Charlotte Hornets and then against the Lakers. And then now he has 19 against the Charlotte Hornets. I can't say enough about him. Another player that the Heat bring into their system and make him better, right? Make him an NBA caliber star. Not saying that he didn't have that before, but the fact that we've seen this over and over with the Miami Heat, and we can go back to Bruce Bowen, we can go back to Vashawn Leonard, we can go back to other types of players like that. The Heat always find a way to make the talent on their roster better, and Pelle Larsson is a huge example of that. And look, they inserted him into the starting lineup, and he's been consistent since he's been in there. He's been fantastic. Touche, and my hats off to Pelle. I think he's going to be a fantastic player for this team.
Yeah, and by the way, I just counted when I was naming off the players. I count 11 players I named. Like there are 11 deep. Nikolai Jovic, 19 minutes, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 for 6 from the field. I thought he had a solid game. He was plus 15. But I want to make sure we talk about Jaime Jaquez. Jaime Jaquez. I know I was talking about Norman Powell and how I would get his jersey. Jaime Jaquez, I'm considering getting it even if he leaves. Like Jaime Jaquez is just such a fun watch. He just does the right things, right? Like he's even getting so much better at the fact that now they're closing in on him. They're like they're paying him a lot more attention, obviously, 9 games into the season defensively, but now he's passing so well out of it. He ended up with how many assists? He ended up with 9 assists. I didn't even realize he almost had a double-double. So 18 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 for 1 from deep. He's just getting so well, not only at handling the ball, being that point forward, but distributing, because he is being very aggressive, taking the ball to the rim, but he's making the right passes out of it. He had 1 turnover, 2 turnovers. So Jaime Jaquez, it was such a bright spot last night. The only bummer is the way that he kind of left the game. I have no idea if you've heard any updates about a possible injury, because Jaime being out would really hurt that second unit.
Yeah, absolutely. First, let's talk about the injury. I haven't heard anything. I saw it was a sprained left ankle. It looked pretty harsh in terms of what happened. But going back to his play, and hopefully he's available tonight against the Portland Trailblazers. But look, going back to his play, Jaime Jaquez has completely leveled up this season, right? He's stronger with the ball. He's hunting mismatches in the mid post, and he's turning those crafty footwork reps into real buckets. His playmaking, like you mentioned, 9 assists. It's gone off the wall this season. He's reading doubles. He's hitting the cutters at the right situation, and he's keeping the second unit organized when he has the stars sitting. And not only that, we talked a lot about him offensively, Danny. We haven't talked a lot about him defensively, but defensively, he's taking the toughest wing for long stretches in this game. He's fighting over the tough screens. He's cleaning the glass to start the break himself. And look, he's on another level. I texted my brother yesterday during the game, and I was like, man, this guy's really stepped it up. His game is playing with such fluidity that that sophomore slump that we saw last year is completely gone.
No, it's completely like I forgot who that. I don't know who that player was last year.
It's night and day, no?
Yeah. It's crazy the difference. And then we can't finish without talking about Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, 22 points, 9 for 16 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. I gotta write that apology letter. I wasn't trashing him, but I definitely said that I didn't think that he could be this consistent, and he has been consistently good. If Andrew Wiggins can play this good, being your 4th option when everybody's healthy, just imagine that. He's your 4th option when everybody's healthy. And then you have the 6th man of the year. I'm claiming that. I already stamped it. And you have the 6th man of the year coming off the bench with Jaime Jaquez. I get it. Everybody's like, oh, no, you can't say that they're going to win the East. Oh, no, you're an idiot. Blah, blah. No, this team is looking so good. I'm not saying they're going to win the East. I'm saying they can be a contender. You can't tell me that this team can't stand toe-to-toe with any of these other bums in the East.
But Danny, you know this, and you know that the Miami sports franchises, for some reason, are always us against everybody else in whatever league. It doesn't matter what league we're playing. Nah, those people just don't understand the game. If there's a Heat fan that's watching this team and it says, hey, we're not good enough to be top 4 in the East, then you just don't understand basketball, right? You just don't understand the game. And look, it's a harsh thing to say, and I'm not here trying to trash on my own Heat fans. But look, the way this team is playing, and they've played some really, really tough teams. Remember, they had a tough West Coast swing to start the season, 4 games in the West Coast against the toughest teams. And exactly, they're not even healthy. So, look, I think you're right on point to say that this team is a contender in the East if they continue to play like this. And we haven't even talked about the potential trade that everybody continues to point into Miami's direction, and how could that affect Miami going forward? And of course, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about John Morant. And we can get into that in another episode, or we can get into that in another day. But if that were to happen, I think the Heat become an automatic contender in the East.
Yeah, look, and if Tyler Hero can buy in and look good also, I think, look, we have to wait and see. We have to see, because 4 of our next 5 games are against the 2 supposed top teams in the East, right? The Cavs and the Knicks. So I think we can speak a lot more to the being top of the East, even though we might not even be healthy for those games after November 17th. I think that those 4 games are going to say, and 3 of the 4 are at home. So I think that those 4 games are going to be really indicative of how we see this team in the East. But just real quickly, top team in the East right now, the Pistons. Then the Bulls, the Cavs, the Bucks, the Knicks, and the Sixers are all above us. I understand why it's hard to believe that Miami can fit into there, because those teams are all solid. But I think the Bucks will fall off a little bit. I don't know how real the Sixers are. I don't know how real the Knicks are. The Bulls have surprised everybody, but they might come back to us. Like, I'm going to stick with if we're 10-10 after 20, we're top 4. All right, so it was the first NBA Cup game. The Heat are now first. I'm not sure why the Knicks are highlighted, but the Heat are now first in Group C, and that is the group. What do you think about the NBA Cup, and is this something that you want to win?
Well, first of all, it looks like Mr. KBD came in here and did some voodoo on our thing, because he has the Knicks highlighted. But look, the Heat are in first place in the NBA Cup. It's something to be excited about. Do I love the NBA Cup? No, I don't love it. I think they should. I don't. I just didn't. I never loved the idea. But now that it's here, do you want to win it? Absolutely, absolutely. You want to win it. You want to win any possible trophy that you can win. And so, look, the fact that the Heat started off with a win was huge. But remember, in the NBA Cup, it's not just about winning games. It's about scoring points, because the team that comes out of the group, it all depends on point differential. So the fact that they were able to get off to a hot start and get in first place in here, and there's some
points. Yeah.
There's some tough games. You got to play the Bucks, you got to play the Bulls, and you got to play the New York Knicks. So we'll see what happens here with these next games. But to answer your question, I don't love the NBA Cup, but since they're in it, we got to win it.
Yeah. Do you raise the banner if they win it? Have any of the other teams? It's been the Lakers, and who else won it? The Lakers won it the first year. I forgot.
That's how you know it. That's how you know it doesn't matter. You don't even remember who wins it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. But did they raise a banner? I don't know. I wouldn't raise the banner.
No, I don't think they raised a banner.
I hope the Lakers didn't, because that's insulting to the other 17 championships that they have. All right, so tonight's the back-to-back against the Blazers. I think that's why Norman Powell, because I thought Norman Powell would play more the way the team was playing, but I think they limited his minutes a little bit. I think it's because of the back-to-back, and I doubt Jaime plays tonight. The Blazers have been playing pretty well since Chauncey Billups got arrested. They're 5-3 overall, so we'll see. We'll see how this goes, because if we could go 6-4 heading into those 4 games against the Cavs and the Knicks, I'd feel pretty good. But being down Jaime Jaquez in that second unit, somebody else got to step up in that second unit. Do we see Casper tonight? Do we see Casper tonight to run that second unit?
I wish, man. I loved him when I saw him in the preseason. I think he's got all the tools to be a fantastic NBA player, and I would love to see him get some minutes. But we'll see. We'll see how severe Triple J's ankle injury was. Maybe they hold him out for tonight, knowing that you have some tough games coming up.
Yeah.
But you have to see if Bam's going to play. Remember, Bam is day-to-day. It's a sprained big toe. Look, dude, you got to tape it up and you got to play. Like, come on, it's a sprained big toe. How much could that hurt? Come on.
I don't know. He was limping yesterday when I was watching him from my seats. Like, oh, he's limping. All right, man. If you're listening on audio, please leave us 5 stars, comment, and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe. It helps us a ton. And we'll be back tomorrow talking about the Trailblazers. So until the next one, have a good one.